KMES English Medium Junior College welcome its students for the online lecture of philosophy for Standard 11 for the chapter 4 Getting to Know Knowing. For the topic the sources of knowledge and the process of obtaining knowledge. Students, in today's lecture we are going to start with the sources of knowledge. What are the different sources of knowledge? As a child you must have run off at the sound of flying aeroplane in order to catch a glimpse of it. We hear the sound with ear. We remember that we have heard this sound as a plane because we have seen a plane passing by making that noise on multiple occasions in the past. So we infer that the sound must be that of an aeroplane. Our science textbooks tell us what a plane is and how it flies. We believe what is written in the textbook is true. This simple example demonstrates how we use multiple sources of knowledge to conclude that the specific sound is that of flying aeroplane. Our sense organs, eyes, nose, ear, tongue and skin are primary means to know the world around us. With eyes, we perceive shape and color of things. With nose, we smell them. With ear, we receive sound. And with tongue, we discover taste. The skin informs us about the texture of things. Sense organs need to come into direct contact with an object in order to grasp the properties of the color, form, smell, taste, sound, etc. This contact produces sensation through which we know. That is why this source is called sense perception or pratyaksha pramana. Although sense organs give us information of the attitude of an object to sensation, in what is termed sense experience, all these different senses are interconnected. That is why through sense experience we come to know not just of the characteristics of an object isolatedly, but also the existence of an object and its relation with other objects. In brief, whatever basic knowledge that we get about the material world is through sense experience only. This knowledge cannot be attained through any other source of knowledge independently. Rather, whatever knowledge of a material world that we get through all other means of knowledge is inevitably based on sense experience. That is why sense experience has a unique place in the source of knowledge. Moreover, various sensations also let us know that going on inside our body and mind. We go to a doctor when we experience headache, but we do not need a doctor to tell us that something hurts. We sense a pain firsthand. We know that when we feel low. The inner and the external sensations play an undoubtedly significant role in our knowledge of the world. But we saw the appearance as deceptive. You might say, quite right. We have learned that what we experience might not exist, and even if it does not exist the way we experience. Color appears flickering, different in darkness. The olfactory sensation is incredible when we have a common goal. Moreover, example can be presented. That is why sense perception cannot be considered an absolute reliable source of knowledge. However, sense are indispensable to know the material around us, but most of us with caution. The information that reaches to sense cannot be regarded indubitably true. It must be verified through other sources and sensations. A stick looks bent, crooked when half drawn inward. Then we remember that it is actually crooked. Our intellect has realized how it looks that way through science education. So the sources of knowledge in the Western tradition are sense perception, reason, memory, intuition and authority. Whereas the source of knowledge in Indian in tradition are perception, inference, comprehension, testimony, postulation, non-appreciation. The process of obtaining knowledge. Although we perceive the thing and that characterized through sense experience, we recognize is made possibly by memory. We recognize the whistling of the flying plane because we remember that it sounded that way when we previously saw it. We associate the sound with a mental image of a plane and anticipate the sight of an actual plane. We memorize mathematical tables and utilize this memory for quick solution of multiple division sums. Remembering a new lesson is as important as understanding it. We compare the new experience with the past experience as a way of making a sense. We are bewildered if there is anything in our memory storage that matches with the new experience. In short, memory is an important instrument in the process of knowledge acquirement. But memory also isn't absolutely faithful for us. It often fails us. Sometimes we completely forget what happened. Sometimes we remember things in a distorted, foggy manner. Several psychosomatic factors have an impact in the process of remembrance. We tend to forget unpleasant events. We remember things that did not take place when imagination mingled with memory. So memory isn't entirely dependable. We have learned about light reflection from our teacher, from book or from internet. Light changes its direction while passing from one medium to another. You know that the stick which appears to be partly bent in water isn't actually bent. In reality, we do not possess such theoretical knowledge about light reflection. We do not perform advanced scientific experiments related to it, but we trust the words of the scientists and other teachers. We accept this authority to be the authority in the subject matter. Testimony is a source of knowledge we happen to use while consulting an expert on a subject matter. A considerable portion of our knowledge consists of verbal testimony. Mankind has created a monstrous repository of knowledge till today. It is impossible for a single human being to cover it in study. All of us have to believe the word of expert, knowledgeable person and well-reputed text. But we must be highly watchful as to whom we trust, what to trust and to what extent. We are at a great risk to begin mislead if we trust in an inorganic person or source of information. We must not forget to scrutinize the source of information using intellect and reason. Critical thinking is the core of philosophy. It teaches us not to accept a belief or opinion without adequate investigation. All of us possess intellectual facilities and hence it is our duty to put them at work while accumulating knowledge and searching the truth. Intellectual and reason are the crucial source of knowledge. Miscellaneous information cannot be called knowledge as we saw before. Heaps of salt, stone, bricks, iron, rod, cement isn't a building. Building has to be constructed by systematic placement of all this material. Sensation, memory, testimony provide us with elements required for the creation of knowledge. Intellect put all these elements together. It is important function of the intellect to interpret the nature and the interconnection between the facts that come to us through several sources. The sky gets cloudy. It started pouring in. Streets get drenched. The cool breeze blows. Our intellectual points out the relationship between all these phenomena. the soil gets moist, and the bacterial reaction releases the distinctive, lovely smell called is sense. It is not our sense but our intellect that grasps the causal relationship between the phenomena. Intellect can make guesses on the basis of our understanding. These intellectual skills are as advantage in the field of thought and knowledge as they are in practical life. They are also incomparably important in science and technology. The scope of intellection isn't restricted to the things and the events that copy space and time. It can include abstract principle, values and law. Sense gives us knowledge of things, but our intellect grasps this sense. The concept of friendship unfolds more and more to the intellect as we go on making friends. As we grow up, we realize the seasons occur in a sequential pattern. We realize the value of wellness when we fall sick. We realize the keeping of word in an important value. Intellectual functioning like drawing, conclusion, inference, argumentation, justification, critical examination are central of philosophization. We call this reason. It is the task of rational faculty to arrange the facts and information it needs in a logical sound manner and what comes out of it. Logic is an important branch of philosophy. It is connected with epistemology. Inconsistency cannot be affordable while converting information into knowledge. An opinion has to be baked or countered with appropriate argument. Logic shows us the way to right argument. It throws light on possible follies of thought and argument. Logic plays an important role in every stream of knowledge. Abstract law and concepts in geometry, mathematics, logical cannot be comprehended with intellect. We must note here that intellect does not mean intuition. We have sensed something without visible evidence or conscious reasoning. We say, I simply felt that it was going to happen. We bump into a friend and sometimes we feel we know we are going to meet here today. But we do not have convincing answer to it. She asked, but how did you know that something is misinterpreted and cancel a journey, only to come to know that the vehicle met with an accident? We think we possess an intuitive power to believe such a thing or to rely on it quite dangerously. These guesses can go this wrong. There is no way to affirm this accuracy. Secondly, intuition changes from person to person as a result that tell us it is subjectivity. Objective is necessary characteristics of knowledge. Belief, impression, knowledge can be subjective, but knowledge has to be objective. It has to be intellectually justifiable. The reality of institution does not pass this test. Thus, that is why institution cannot be regarded as an authentic source of knowledge. Apart from acquiring knowledge, the job of intellect is also to determine how to use the knowledge in daily life. We do not pursue knowledge for knowledge's sake, but for the most part we strive after it to improve our life by all means. Action based on sense knowledge of the world and the self do not come to fruition. Intellect has to decide what is good life, or is good life a successful life, is it a happy life, good of a self or good for all. What is the right path of good life? Good Lord, more questions.